Welcome to Teal House Farm. Sam is here. He's finishing up his drink. Started the kettle a little late to make a cup of coffee, so he's standing by the stove, anxiously waiting for water to boil, which we all know takes twice as long, right? Watch pot never boils. But yeah, so it's been a fun day. We went to St. Louis this morning. Annie had a follow-up appointment with the neurosurgeon, and it went really, really well. We have a video coming up about that, and Annie, even a lot of times those appointments, Annie just kind of sits there and listens because some of the topics are a little over her head, but he gave her some news that had her so excited she giggled the entire 2 hours home. So we'll save the surprise for the video, but it was really good appointments, and it feels good to have a really good appointment, because it felt like for several years, every appointment we went to, she was getting worse and worse. And so it's nice to, start having these appointments where things are looking really good. So let's see, Pam is here. Welcome. And Diane is here. Thanks for joining us. Sam has started his practicum, which is unpaid free labor hours at the hospital. How many hours do you have to get?
240.
He has to get 240 hours in 10 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah.
So he started that. He can talk a little bit about it. They hit the ground running, so he's just trying to get his sea legs right now. Let's see, Tessa's here, welcome. And Veronica is here, welcome. And Grammy is here. And Homestead Nana, thanks for joining us tonight. So he can fill you in on that in just a minute. And then also tonight, we wanted to talk a bit about moving our chickens. I have a couple ideas. We're going to kind of bounce around. And I know a lot of you on here have experience with chickens and especially with mixed flocks of birds. So we're interested what your experience has been. So maybe we can learn from you, trying something a little different. We've never integrated such a large mixed flock, especially with the geese, which can be a little more aggressive. And we just want to make sure our chickens aren't attacked. So we're going to talk about some ideas we have to protect those chickens. But get them eventually integrated so all of our birds are together, which makes collecting eggs and just caring for them much, much easier. Right now they are in 2 different paddocks, so it's twice the chores. Cindy is here. Thanks for joining us. Welcome tonight. So Sam, you want to tell them about practicum? Are you still waiting on your water to boil?
I'm still waiting on water.
We need to get them one of them electric kettles everybody in Europe has. You plug it in and it goes cold water to boiled in 60 seconds instead of standing at the stove waiting for the kettle to boil.
I'm close.
So he's close. He's close.
Give me 2 minutes.
Let's see what else before we jump into chickens. Oh, I can talk about the weather because that has to do with the garden. We've been struggling. I know based on your guys' comments on our videos, you all have been struggling too. It's dry everywhere, it seems like. We finally got a good amount of rain this weekend, which was such a relief, but even our pasture, the grass looked so sad and dried up, and I had to open a new paddock. So we're having 2 paddocks open at the same time for our sheep and goats because there just wasn't very much good stuff left for them to eat because it just hasn't rained, so things aren't growing. I think in all the time that we've had these kind of a goat herd, usually we try to keep only 1 paddock open at a time because you want to rotate them through and do kind of forced intense grazing. It's really good for your pasture and it's good for them. It doesn't just let them eat their favorites. They have to eat everything. But we're just leaving the paddocks open right now so that they can find stuff because it's just been so dry that we aren't really getting the, brush variety we usually get. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle. But thankfully it rained this weekend. And so hopefully things are looking up. Hopefully we'll get some more rain. It has to have been the driest spring we've had since we've been here. It's been... it didn't rain. Everything
really
is a struggle from getting the garden to start to the pasture. It's just there's been no rain.
It made
Here, scoot over that.
Oh yeah. I think it made for good hay cutting season though. They were all out cutting their hay before we got the rain yesterday. It rained hard yesterday and a little bit on Saturday too. We had a little stretch of hard rain, but
Yeah, finally.
Yes.
J&B says, after ruining 2 kettles, I finally got an electric one and glad to have it. We've ruined a couple percolators on the stove, coffee percolators.
Yeah,
because we just forget, and they're on low, and then they run dry.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We've had them last a long time, too. They're cheap and...
They are cheap, and they don't need filters, really.
Constantly, so...
True Joy is here, welcome, and Kelly is here from Alabama. So anyway, tell them about, you're finally, even though it's not paid, but you're finally out there working on labor and delivery, which is where you're going to work, doing your practicum.
Yep.
You've gotten to see at least one C-section, right? Sitting on the...
Yep, I've only worked 2 days. So one day, basically for most of the day, we worked with one C-section patient because it was pretty complicated. So that was interesting. It had some intense moments in like during the surgery. So that was kind of cool to be a part of. I told Laura it's crazy how it just goes from like dumpty dumpty da to just like 30 people running around everywhere. Nobody's like panicking. Like they all just know what is needed, and like someone's calling, we need this, we need that, to get all their stuff done. And then like once that intense moment was done, it's just like boom, back to like just quiet, doing their own thing. It was really, really interesting. Because I was basically in the back corner for most of it.
Staying out of the way.
Trying to, especially when it got intense. I'm like, and then my second day, we had an induction, and we thought it was gonna go fast, but she ended up she was still there when we left. It hadn't happened yet, and our other patient. So in labor delivery, you usually only have 1 or 2 patients, which technically can be 4 or more, because if you count the babies. But our second patient was there for like some preterm labor kind of stuff, so we were just keeping an eye on her. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's kind of nice. I would say it's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, like a medium-sized hospital. And so already, even though I've only worked a couple of shifts there, like getting to see some familiar faces and such. So I enjoy that. I think that's good. I've had a couple different nurses I followed around now. So I'm actually kind of excited about that because I know everyone has their own way of doing things. And so learning from a bunch of different people can be kind of good. You can kind of pick the things or see the things that work really well and be like, hey, I'm going to implement that in the way that, that I'm a nurse. I don't know. It's just been 2 shifts though. And then I'm taking, at the same time, I'm also taking, it's this big online NCLEX review course. So each week, like the first week, we focused on fundamentals. This week is pharmacology. I just took a big pharmacology test today. So to review, what they have us do is basically take 2 or 3 tests on each topic. And after we take the test, they have a review and they're like, okay, you missed a lot of questions on this area. And then you have to review. And then you take another test. And they're like, okay, well, now you need to work on this area. So that's basically what I'm doing. Is taking tests and then trying to do better on them. But I did okay on my pharmacology test today. I was afraid since it's been, I had like a month off, that I would have forgot a lot of it. I did my best to review though, and it went well. So I have one more big pharmacology test to take this week though. So, but other than that, it's going well. Right now, I would say school is definitely less intense than last term. Last term was crazy. But
you're home a lot more, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be weeks where I go to the hospital like for at least like 2 or 3 days in a row. So that'll be a little bit more. But excuse me, these first like 5 or 6 weeks should be less intense. They did tell us the online program switches at like week 5 or 6, and those last like 3 or 4 weeks or so are going to be more intense and require some more time. But anyway.
All right, so we missed a bunch. Beth is here. Welcome. Julie. And Sharon McKee says 1 to 2 patients in labor and delivery can be very busy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really funny. Like like some people, I'd say like half of our floor on Friday was my second day. Half of our floor was people there in like I guess prenatal kind of visits or like they had preeclampsia or they had preterm labor, things like that. We are keeping an eye on them. Mm-hmm. And like our patient, she literally needed nothing all day. She was like never
just chilling,
never bothered us. She was just chilling. But some of the other nurses, you know, they're patients that are there for preterm labor and stuff, like they need really close eye kept on them. But so it can be really interesting. I like that there's some variety in that regard.
Sharon says, and it takes a bit to learn your style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that for sure. It will take a year to get really comfortable with it. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Like once you get a year under your belt, you'll kind of feel a little bit better about it all. But it's really, really nice. As much as going to the hospital for 12 hours at a time can feel a little much. I'm really enjoying it because you get to like apply everything. We've just spent so much time in a book and hearing all these lectures, taking all these tests, but actually being able to apply these things and see them in action. It's so much better than sitting on your rear for 8 hours. I'd rather go to the hospital and work for 12 than sit on my butt for 8 listening to a lecture. So
let's see. Debbie is here, Rhonda, and Debbie says good luck. Thank you. Beth says glad to see the excitement you have for your choices. Now it is so rewarding. I feel like that hard work has paid off.
Yep,
so
we're getting there.
Getting there.
Yeah, in like 9 weeks, it'll be really rewarding because I'll be done. So.
All right, so we were going to talk briefly about chickens. We have 6 laying chickens that we have raised from babies, and they are still in the brooder, but they are ready to get out of that. I mean, they got all their feathers.
We always say brooder, too. It's like a whole chicken house.
Yeah, it's a chicken house, but they're not, they can't go outside. Like, they're stuck inside. So we would like to get them outside on some grass. And
How old are they now?
I think we do math. We got them in February, right?
Yeah, that sounds
right. So
right.
March, April, May, June, they're 4.5 months old.
Yeah, so they're actually getting fairly close to laying. Once we hit 5 or 6 months, they should be laying.
They're big. I mean, they're big. They got all their feathers. They're ready to be outside. In our current bird selection, so we've got 1 lone rooster and then a bunch of ducks and geese out in the front pasture, and we want to incorporate the birds. But we want to make sure that once we let them out in there, that the geese don't try to kill them, basically, right? Or chase them into the fence.
Yeah, the geese might
kind
be
of aggressive.
Potentially be really mean about it all.
So I think what we're going to do is put them in a locked-in movable coop inside the fence for 2 weeks. Do you think that's long enough, or do you think they need to be in there longer?
Yeah, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks. We can just kind of play it by ear.
So the question becomes, how much work do we want to do in the sense of the movable coop? So we kind of have 2 options. We have a really lightweight movable hoop house coop, but it's out in the goat pasture, and it's uphill both ways, basically, is what it feels like to get it over to the chicken pasture. So I would definitely need Sam to drag it.
We have to tell them, I have moved this particular coop back and forth for Laura from up by the house to down in the goat pasture 10 times at least.
No, don't lie. There is video evidence that I can link below that I made the last move from where it was
down
to
the hill?
goat pasture, down
the hill.
But don't be saying you did it all.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
But now it's got
Laura's done it once.
That was last year. And then we planned to separate our goats, girls and boys. But then we decided that we wanted out of the dairy game because it was just too much for right now. And so we sold most of our goats except for our meat goats. And so we don't need to separate the girls and boys. So we have this, what was a movable chicken coop and then became a greenhouse and then became a goat house that is now out in the pasture. So the question is, do I make Sam drag that the 600 miles uphill to the chicken pasture for me? Or, my other thought, there is already a smaller coop inside the pasture where the birds are. And the ducks and the geese, they don't really use it. They don't, sometimes they'll go in there and lay, right? But they don't sleep in it. They sleep out under the tree. So my thought is it really that big of a deal if we just lock them in that one for 2 weeks and don't let the ducks and geese in? And then you don't have to move anything.
I think we should lock them in that one too, because it's...
then they'll all think the same coop is home too?
No. I think that one's put together a lot better. It's a lot tighter too. Mm-hmm. I think the one down in the pasture is probably going to need some repair.
Now, are you saying that because it's true or because you don't want to move it?
I'm saying it because it's true. But if I don't have to move something, then that's just a double bonus. So, but it is, that coop is, it's a John Siskovich tractor, chicken tractor. He does a lot. He did a lot with like small farm marketing kind of stuff. I think he's in Connecticut. But he makes really good, really informative videos if you're into like small market advertising and I don't know, all that kind of stuff. But I actually paid for the plans. I haven't done that very often in my life at all.
But it was worth it. How long have we had that? 5 years?
Yeah, we've had it a long time, and it holds up. As far as coops go, it's probably the nicest mobile coop we've had, and it's super, super tight as far as like predators and stuff go. It's really, really nice. It does need a new tarp, but structurally that coop is like perfect. It's in a great spot. Let's see. We missed a few. Hello
Bonnie.
from Idaho.
Welcome,
from
Bonnie.
I missed Sharon too. It can be very rewarding. I've worked in this area as well. Awesome. Katie says option 2. Thank you, Katie. Pete says hello from very dry Vermont. We talked about that.
Got some rain
earlier.
finally.
We
Hopefully
did get
it's
a little
coming
rain
to the East Coast for you now.
Chris is here. Thanks for joining us. And Kelly says everyone hit the thumbs up.
Does help if you think about it. Anyway, so the second question becomes, hang on. Katie says we built a little safe corner inside our chicken yard with some extra chicken wire and a piece of plywood on top. They can live without a chicken paradise for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Our biggest concern, one, we want to be able to move it because we don't necessarily want them tromping in just lots of poo. I mean, I guess you could clean, lift that up.
Oh,
and
it'll
clean
be
it
good
out
to
real
move
quick.
it. It'll be good
but
for
it'd be good to get them
move
kind of moved around the grass a little bit. And then we obviously want to make sure it's tight enough. The geese do a really good job protecting everything, but, a really determined raccoon or possum, could be really sneaky. So, and get through the defense systems. We have an electric fence and we have 3 geese, but we just want to make sure, they aren't picked off.
I'm more afraid of the geese chasing the little chicks around. Because, they're still babies.
Yeah, so we hopefully that the idea that 2 weeks, that to give them enough time for the geese to get used to them and that they won't chase them around.
That's a great way to integrate any kind of a flock, if you can, is to, anytime you want to put in new birds, first, if they're brand new birds to you, you should quarantine them for a little bit, make sure they're not all sick or going to spread something. But then after that, if you have like a way to kind of section them off just so they can see each other through a fence or through like this movable coop is really light and airy so they can see each other through the mesh, the wire. It's a really good way to integrate birds. And a lot of the coops I've built, like I built it in to where I could put like a divider down the middle. And so the older birds still had access to the coop, but we could put in younger birds if we wanted on the other side. It's worked really well for us.
Let's see, Lois is here, welcome, and Christy says hello, thanks for joining us. Debbie said we've had a lot of rain in Oklahoma all of a sudden. We had went from fire danger to some flooding.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's
we didn't
crazy.
have flooding, but it did finally rain.
Oh, weird weather.
So Pete says we like to introduce new birds during the dark of night. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've done that a time or two as well. And that does work. That does work too.
Man, remember that one time it was going to be like negative 10 degrees and our chickens just would not go in the coop. So we had to manually move them and they were like frozen to the tree limbs.
They were.
It was so stupid. Some animals you don't know how
they just would not go inside the coop. I mean, maybe there must have been something they did not like. Like we kept chickens in there before, and they liked it just fine.
This set would not go in.
Yeah, it was literally like -10 out, and they're just sitting on the trees out there. We went out and grabbed them. They literally didn't move, and they may have been like half frozen. I don't know, but we got them in there. We did it because, like, I don't know, -10 sounds really bad. I think they might have been okay for one night, but it was gonna be like below 0 for like a week straight. We're like, that's just cruel. So we were able to catch them all. We did have a couple of them fly away. We had to track them down. I think there was snow though.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
It was like it was the hard snow, so you had to like stomp through it, or you slipped and fell on your butt.
But I think the snow slowed them down. Like once they flew off, the snow slowed them down, so we were able to catch those ones. We got them all in the coop. That was an adventure at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's times like that where you're like, why are we out here doing this? Like,
we were sitting in here, and I was like, I just feel bad. They were pretty wild chickens, and so we probably should have done it earlier, but I was like, I just don't think we can catch them. And we sat here, and it got colder and colder and colder, and then we both just felt so guilty. We're like, we gotta at least try. Anyway.
Okay, so the next question becomes, do I need to build them a roost? Like, that would really make them happy, right? There's no roost in that coop now because
there's a roost
in that in this.
Oh, not in that one. No.
Then when I move them to
where they are now, there's a roost.
Because ducks don't care, but
right.
That would probably make them happy, right?
It would be really easy. You just cut a couple boards long enough. There's only 6 of them. You literally need one.
Well, I thought about
if you were really nice, you could make 2, but they'd all fit on one.
I was thinking I could cut a thicker board and then hang it, because we have some chain, and just hang it because it's all woven wire. But then would they hate that if it swung? Would that make them unhappy? Does it have to be like a stable roost?
No, you just go to the back of the coop and you cut a board the width of the coop.
Oh, okay. Just make a shelf?
Yeah, just make a shelf, lay it across there. It'd be super, super easy.
All right, I'll be doing some construction on the vlog coming up.
10 minutes top to put a...
And I don't want to have to go buy a tarp, so I was going to use more of that greenhouse plastic. But I don't want to roast them alive, right? Because it could be like 90 degrees in July. So I was thinking I would just cover the very top and leave the front and the back open. No? Just want to make sure the hot air can escape.
I guess that would work.
Hey, so Pete says they sell swings for chickens.
That's
Maybe
true.
We'll do ones, and we'll see which ones the chickens prefer. Then we'll let you know. Be like,
I mean, a swing is probably more like sitting on a little skinny branch, like they do when they get in a tree, because a lot of those branches they sit on are not like all that stable. They're just kind of bouncing in the breeze.
So that's the plan. We need to move them this week. They need to be out in the sunshine and on grass. So it's just been really busy. First they weren't ready, and now they're ready. In the last couple of weeks have been super busy. So I just haven't had time to work on the coop. And so, but tomorrow there's not much going on. So I think maybe that's my goal for tomorrow.
That'd be good.
I will say, this morning I got up extra early. I'm offended. Our sheep have totally offended me because I got up extra early. Like, I set my alarm so I'd get up right when the sun started coming up, because I wanted to open up a new pasture, because like I said, the grass isn't that great because it just hasn't rained, or it didn't rain for a long time, and we have kind of this wooded pasture, and I was going to let them back there because that still does pretty well because it's protected from the sun and it's got lots of brush, which they like. So I got up super early, dragged my butt out there, I fixed fence, I opened the gate, made sure the fence worked. Those bozos didn't go back there at all today. They just kind of...
I think because it was really overcast and
stayed in the barn.
It rained all day yesterday, and they're babies too, pretty much. I think they thought it was going to rain. That's what I think. They're like, we're going to stay close today. Because it rained really hard at times yesterday and the day before.
It's like when you make a really nice meal for the kids and they're like, ew.
I bet they either go out tonight or tomorrow for sure.
But there's lots of good stuff that they'll really like for them in there. So that should make them happy for a little bit.
Debbie says half and half on a tarp so they have shade and sun.
That's probably good. I don't want to. I mean, can chickens get sunburned?
Maybe. I don't think you're gonna roast
There's
them.
there's quite a few trees in that pasture too, so you kind of keep the coop.
I don't
the
think it'll
shade.
get that hot under there.
So we're excited to have some chicken eggs again. We haven't had any in like a year, just the duck eggs, which are fine, but I don't really like scrambled duck eggs. They're too heavy.
Yeah, I like chicken eggs as far as like just eating them by themselves. I mean, you can, a duck egg's not bad, but I like chicken eggs better. I do.
So should we move that? We have a best nesting box. Should we move
We
that
could put it
up
in there
the
and
coop?
see if they go for it.
Awesome.
That would be fun.
J&B says, Laura, you were fearless, large family, but always ready to take on animals, garden, and more. Were you raised on a farm? No. Oh, absolutely not even close to a farm. Grammy will tell you. I was raised in the suburbs of New England. I did have a garden, and my grandmother, my mom's mom, loved to garden, and she taught me how to make jelly, and she always, as long as I can remember, even when she was really old, she would have a garden. So I definitely learned a little from her, and just kind of her love for that kind of thing. But
Well, I would say
Sam,
even like with the animals, like you had done a little bit with like the chickens and ducks, but since I started school, like this is the first time you've done a lot with the goats and the sheep and everything.
Sam grew up with animals and was really interested in ag stuff growing up, right? And so he was really gung-ho. If you've been with us forever, you'll know that when the channel started, it was 95% Sam doing everything on the farm. But when he decided to go back to school, we had to sit down and have a discussion about whether we just wanted to stop doing homesteading for a couple years while he got through school, or if I wanted to take it over. And I decided I didn't want to go backwards when we put in all this work in. I wanted to at least keep some of it up so that when he got back and, got his new job and got comfortable in it and wanted to get back into doing what he liked, because you really do enjoy working with the animals, that we weren't starting from scratch. So kind of threw in the fire, and Sam has done a great job guiding me. I ask him lots of stupid questions, but he always gives me good answers, and we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from him. He knows a lot, so
I don't know about that.
Kind of gotten through it. So
Pete says, if you want to have a heavy egg, eat a goose egg.
We've done that. We've eaten a couple of them. They don't lay very often, I feel like. We lost a whole bunch, too, because we had a goose decide she was going to sit. And so for, 5 weeks, we couldn't go get eggs because she was really aggressive about the nest, and everyone was laying all around her, so all of the eggs went bad. I probably could have brought in a racket and gotten it, but not going to take chances. But then, right before we got close to maybe hatching, we had a possum get in, and it was mass chaos, and so there are no baby geese.
Yeah.
That was kind of sad.
Kelly says duck eggs are supposed to be great for making noodles. Okay. Duck eggs are really good for baking in general,
yeah.
I feel like. Don't you think?
I have never made noodles. It's something I have maybe will one day. I don't have the patience for, and noodles are so cheap that I don't really see any cost savings. But it'd be a fun thing to try. I think the girls would like it when they're a little bit older, making their own pasta.
J&B says, what? I admire your willingness to make a real life. Yeah, Laura's a trooper. I can't believe she tackled it all. These 2 years, basically.
So
That's a lot.
Duck eggs make fluffy pancakes. Yes, and they make fluffy everything. Cakes and brownies. Yeah, I use duck eggs pretty much, exclusively in my baking. Definitely makes things much better. Somebody said I should try hard boiling them, that they were really good hard boiled. So I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, we haven't tried that. That'd be interesting.
We only have 3 ducks that we like, when we have one, what do you call a male duck?
A drake.
We have one drake, and so we don't get a ton of eggs. But that works pretty well. We just had more ducks in the past, and we discovered that they just make such a mess. And so a smaller amount seemed a better deal, and then we're adding the chickens in. So we should have a good egg variety coming up going into fall, which will be nice, and then next spring.
Someday in the future, like to get our pond cleaned up and cleaned out and put together a little bit, and then have the ducks and the geese over there. Yeah. I think it would be... They'd be so happy. And we don't use that pond for anything. No, and it's
a mess.
Trashy mess right now. It has been since we've been here. But anyway.
One day.
Debbie says, Sam, you have a wonderful wife for sure. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks,
and he's
Debbie.
Worked, I know you haven't seen him much, but he's worked incredibly hard to get through school. I'm really thankful he was willing to do that amount of work
It was a lot.
to make a difference because it was a lot.
It's probably the most motivated I've ever been in my life.
So.
But we needed to make a change, so here we are.
All right, Beth's sharing an easy noodle recipe: 4 eggs, 3 cups of flour. Beat eggs and add flour until stiff dough. Roll and cut. Delicious in chicken or beef stock. Oh, it is easy,
super
really easy. Yeah.
Just 2 ingredients.
The only thing I know about noodles is I always see people put the flour down in a mound, like a volcano, and then you crack the eggs on the inside. That's the most I know about noodle making.
Delicious in beef or chicken stock.
Pete says we have 6 ducks at the moment, and they're very messy indeed. They just dig the most annoying little holes, and then you like twist your ankle because you didn't see it. That's what gets me.
I like that. I mean, ducks are really consistent in laying, and I know some ducks aren't, but most of the ducks we've had can be quieter than chickens. They're just like, I don't know, they're pretty low maintenance. They're really, really hardy. I don't know if we've ever had a duck get sick or anything. But yeah, they're messy for sure. J&B says, I agree with Debbie.
Well, thank you. So, one day we're going to try turkeys. Maybe next year. We just never quite.
I think next year we can for sure.
Never quite gotten around it.
They take
they need
longer to grow out, but
Pete says we have pecans.
Pecans.
They are pretty noisy. What we have we have a mallard, right? Is the one with the green head? Is that what it's called?
No, I don't think he's a mallard. I'm not sure. I think he's a mixed breed that we got from some friends. And we have pecans, but they're not that. I don't feel like they're that noisy. I know. Oh, now I'm gonna mess myself up. They're like a meat breed of duck, but I think they're basically silent. The name's on the tip of my tongue. I know some of you people have them. What are they called? I forgot it. But I think some ducks are pretty chill. But obviously there are other ducks that are not. But yeah, we've had khaki Campbells. We had a lot of those in the past, and I felt like they were pretty laid back.
They were,
for the most part. The geese are not laid back. They're almost like watchdogs. Like if they see anything, man, they are on it for sure.
Try turkeys when Sam's done with school so he can have time off and can help. Yeah, I think that's the idea. And from what we've read, turkeys are going to be a little bit more finicky or maybe a little bit harder. And he's kind of the chicken man. He knows a lot about birds, and so
I don't think we'll do. It's not like I don't think we'll grow out like 30 turkeys. No. We'll probably try like 4 or 5 at the beginning. Maybe keep like a breeding pair and butcher a couple of them or something like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. I don't know if I want to do this with all of our animals, but with some of them that are really easy to maintain, I think it would be nice to have like some breeding pairs and such.
Pete says, any larger animals on the wish list? And that's a yes. We really want to do a bottle calf or 2 in the fall. We're waiting till the fall. I've already kind of put out some feelers. I have several friends who raise cattle or, know people who raise cattle, and just to see if anybody who does fall calving and whether people might have a bottle calf to sell. We just want to try it, see if we like raising our own beef. It's a much longer term investment than the sheep and the goats. We definitely really like raising sheep. I think we're going to continue to do that. The goat is kind of 50-50. We're going to see if this meat is better than what we got from our last goat, now that we know a little bit more. I will say canning the goat meat, it's what we ended up doing. It made it much better. We had it in those taco bowls I made in the canning pantry video last week, and it was great. It was not stringy, so it had to be canned, really. But that may just because she was a dairy goat, and so she's not designed to have like marbled fat and stuff like that. And so we'll see about these meat goats. If it's about the same, then I don't know if we'll raise meat goats again. We might just stick with the sheep.
Yeah, we'll see. Julie says, thank you for the recipe, Beth.
Yes, thank you, Beth.
Thanks for the noodle recipe.
Definitely hoping that this fall we can add a bottle calf or 2. I think the girls would think that's really cool. And I think our pasture is now in a state that it's ready. When we first bought this farm, there was nothing out there a cow would want to eat. And that's why we have the goats and the sheep. But it's gotten much better. So.
And I know we've talked about this. It feels like a million times, but I think we will try a pig or two at some point in the future. But it's like all those things. It's like we want to do right now. It would be great, but I still have this last leg of school. So these 10 weeks, and then I start my new job in September. And so it's like we just got to get to that September check mark, and then once we start making a little more money, we can fix some things up around the farm and maybe get some more animals. But
we're definitely. Oh, go ahead.
No, we've done that a couple of times though. When you get the cart before the horse, you don't have things set up, or you're not quite ready for animals, but you get them anyway. It creates so many headaches.
And we have some financial goals we want to hit first, with like paying off some student loans and debt we've accrued to get them through school, and we don't want to increase the cost of the farm by a lot before we've done those things. We're just
trying to like have
be
some
smart about it.
Patience, basically, and try and hit what we want to do. And then once we've accomplished some of those goals, then we can just go have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun on the farm. But we're trying to be somewhat smart about it and have some patience. It's so hard though. Like once I finish school, it's like, let's go do everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, let's take our time. Let's do it right. And then in the future, we can have it all as far as animals go. Whatever our farm can hold, we can work on getting it. But yeah, I think sheep for sure. And I think bottle calves would be fun.
Pizza's got to head out and put the animals to bed. Thanks for live stream, and have a good week. You too.
Thanks for joining us, Pete.
Hopefully you guys get some rain in Vermont really soon. I think we're sending it your way. So that's actually might be all we're going to do tonight. Beth said, "You're welcome. My grandmother raised 10 kids on noodles, and we all grew up learning to make noodles. It's a cheap food for her to feed her family." Yeah, I mean, especially if you got chickens or ducks, like
chickens and flour.
Yeah,
or eggs and flour. Eggs and flour.
Pretty simple.
That is pretty cheap. It's cheap and simple.
I think Sam's got some more studying and stuff he wants to do.
There's always more studying.
So we might call it a night. We will not be live next week. I will be out of town taking Annie to camp. But the week after that, we should be back. And as always, we try to put a reminder up on YouTube on Sunday so you know whether or not to expect to see us here. So we always enjoy talking to everybody. And we appreciate everyone taking the time to show up week after week. So, all right, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, we're going to sign off. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you all again in 2 weeks.
Yep. Everybody have a good week. Take care and be safe.
Bye.